there is a meeting at the Adams Mark Hotel tonight at 7. You know what's going to happen, don't you? And so Jeff comes home and he said, you got this message. You're supposed to go to this meeting. He said, you know what? I want you to go. Because you're so positive, framed-minded people, you'd be all excited. It might change your attitude about moving. I'm like, all right. So I go, and back then we had notebooks, kind of like this. Okay, so imagine this. I'm walking with my notebook to the Adams Mark Hotel. Thinking I'll just sit in the back, you know, I don't really know anyone, and I look a little rough tonight. And so I'm going down the escalator, and I said to these people, I see you're with the same company I am. I said, I'm coming to your meeting. I said, do you know where the meeting room is? Well, we don't really know. We've never had a meeting here in our city before. I said, really? They go, yeah, we got this flyer. There's a leader here from Phoenix. And we're just so excited. It's the first meeting our city's had. And I said, show me the flyer. I bet I know who it is. I know them all. Is it BK Braco? Is it? And I'm naming off all the people who were my mentors. And they pull out the flyer, and it's like, it's Ruth Elliott. I was like, oh my gosh. But guess what? I was forced to be a leader because my name was on a flyer. And I knew how to do a meeting because I'd seen it 100 times, 1,000 times. It's duplication. So I jumped into a leadership role and evolved into who I am today. Doesn't happen overnight. Again, at the beginning, I lacked every skill to make this opportunity work. The industry was foreign to me. But the blessing in that is it helps me identify always with the newest member, which is what I think my gift is, getting people started. The other thing I'll address, we had no money to get this industry started or my home-based business started. So I appeal to those who are passionate but have limited funds. So with that being said, for 12 years as a stay-at-home mom, I made about $150,000 a year. And I actually sold those distributorships, and we lived on a farm. Our children are 13 and 15 at this time. And in a sad way, we found that our life changed overnight. In January 1999, we discovered in an emergency that our son had a massive brain tumor. He had emergency surgery, and 1 month later, and he survived, beat the odds and survived. And 1 month later, our daughter contracted bacterial meningitis. She survived. And we come home from the hospital in March, and I have a son who has crossed eyes, no balance, no coordination, has to learn gross motor skills all over again. And my daughter lost the ability to read, write, comprehend, and think. So I have 2 kids with brain injuries opposite of each other. And then we lost our income. So you scramble and you do whatever it takes to survive. We sold our farm, we sold our horses, we sold everything that we owned. It was a blessing, it was a journey, and anyone going through difficult times, it will make you who you are. Because here's what I learned. There are some people who feel a little bit hesitant about the opportunity, like, I don't want to make it about money, I'd like to make it just about the product. Well, let me wake you up. I've lived life with money and without it. It's a little easier with it. And when you're selling everything you own to start over, you know who buys it? People you know. They don't come to you and say, oh, you're struggling. Can I make your house payment this month? You're struggling. You can't, what, you can't afford your horses? Let me take care of them for you. No, you know what they say? What's the bottom dollar you'll sell that horse for? And we have people, no, I'm serious, this is life. That's not a negative thing, this is life. Your difficult times is someone else's advantage. People bought our horses and sold them within 3 days for double the price. Why? Because we were desperate. So when people identify me with, oh, Ruth, she's really about the opportunity, I am. Because people need a financial fix far more than they need a health fix. Because sometimes you can't change your health. You have to make lifestyle changes to change your health, right? But your financial fix, it can paralyze you. When people would say, how did you survive going through almost losing your children? I won't say it's easy, it was terrible. But the whole time you're going through it, and I love the medical profession, they saved our children's lives. But it's totally out of your control. They're at the mercy of God and the hand of the medical profession. But when your financial future falls apart, it's up to you. It's up to you to fix it. Right? Am I being real? Yeah. Okay. So during those years of trying to sell everything we owned, The one thing we did have was faith. We bound together as a family, and we said we'll do whatever it takes to survive. That accidentally put me in a situation where I was running a lawn service with my 15-year-old son. Now, that's not something you really are proud of. You're a stay-at-home mom with a high school education. You made 6 figures a year, and now you're cutting lawns for a living, splitting $20 for each lawn. Your son takes 10 and you take 10. He saved money for a vehicle, and I put groceries on the table. Now everyone says, well, how did you end up, like, did you think about a lawn service? Do you like that? No, I'm terrible at it. I almost got fired by my 15-year-old son. What happened was, we lived in a farm. And my husband's skills in a lawn was that we had a 10-acre farm that looked like a golf course. And that's how people knew us. Are you the people whose yard looks like a golf course? As if I were part of it. I'd be like, oh yes, that's us. It was my husband. So when my husband and my son decided to run a lawn service, it's because my son at the age of 15 had a dream to play college basketball. This is a kid with no balance, coordination, can't shoot a free throw, crossed eyes. But he knew that one of his obstacles was that we lived in the country and his school was 12 miles from our home without a bus service for those who wanted to stay after school for after school activities. With the foresight to know that he needed a way home from basketball practice, he knew that he would need a car. We didn't have the money. By then I had sold my car and I was driving the 95 Dodge Neon with roll-up windows. I remember the first time my kids got in and they're like, what are these? I'm like, that's your air conditioning. And it was pink. And so my son's like, I'm not driving that. But long story short, my son's goal he could not accomplish because he's 15 and couldn't drive. So my husband said, let's run a lawn service together. And they put an ad in the paper. Well, guess how many accounts they got? A lot. And then my husband came home and said, I have an opportunity to work for $20 an hour for an individual who has 90 acres that wants my help taking care of it. I have to take it. So the lawn service, if you wouldn't mind, can you drive Eric to cut his lawns? I'm like, I guess I have to. Well, when you're driving a trailer around and pulling all the lawn equipment, I can't back up a trailer. So at first, I would drop Eric off to cut lawns, run to Walmart, Aldi, wherever it was, and then I got stuck. I'm like, okay, somebody parked behind me, I can't get out. Doing that backup thing. How many women cannot back up? How many men can't back up? All right, there's a man willing to say I can. There's one.